Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have one more presentation here, an important one. We'll have Dr. Mariusz Sokołowski, the spokesperson of police headquarters, who will be telling us about the role of the police force and its experience in combating internet crime against children. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, during my presentation, we will have this presentation on the screen. I'm glad that we're getting increased interest annually in these conferences, which would also indicate a greater willingness to combat these types of crime. The police is the basic institution responsible for handling these matters, for combating this type of crime, but the police should not be left alone. We've said a lot about fighting crime, we've said a lot about education, and these two matters must go hand in hand. They must be consistent and compatible. We've talked about fighting crime online, we've talked about crime against children. I'll focus on a number of selected issues related to police work, policing. Child pornography as disseminated in the internet. There is a specialized team in the Polish police force. Well, first of all, at police headquarters, at the Metropolitan Police headquarters, there's a central team to combat human trafficking and child pornography. We have representatives of this team in the room today. Regionally, there are dedicated professionals or officers tasked to fight these types of crimes. They're becoming more specialized, but their work would not be as they benefit from the development of technology. The Polish police force uses state-of-the-art technology. We have an innovative technology department. There is a high-tech department that provides the technical capabilities for the Polish police force, allowing them to identify people uploading this content, working with the media. There's a lot being said recently, for instance, in light of finding a woman that was a young woman that had been raped and imprisoned, held captive by her father for 6 years. Yesterday there were 2 Roma children found with syphilis, and there's a lot being said about pedophilia and the threat they present. The internet gave them a medium to get in touch with minors. Jakub Śpiewak, I remember, said that there was a time when pedophiles hung around playgrounds to search for victims, and the internet is now their digital playground, their digital sandbox, and they can also be anonymous, and they can groom their victims successfully. And the police would not be effective in combating this type of crime without international cooperation. The Polish police force works with Interpol, with the special branch or unit at Interpol, with Europol, and with the police forces of other countries. I'll focus exclusively on this year's figures. This year, the Polish police force conducted a couple of operations that either we launched ourselves or did in conjunction with other police forces. This year, in April, we held a large-scale operation, Operation Yeri, where Interpol police officers in London obtained intelligence. They gave us the IPs of computers where child pornography was downloaded. Only 9 people were arrested. Then we had Santiago, another operation done in a couple of European countries, launched by the Spanish police force, and Polish internet users were also apprehended for downloading. In May 27th, we had Operation Iris, which was the first large-scale all-Polish operation, where the intelligence was obtained from the Polish police force. Another such operation, I'll skip this one. Then there was Operation Simone from September 3rd, where 136 people were arrested, Poles arrested on suspicion of downloading pedophile or child pornography content files. Sometimes journalists ask me whether this means that Poland is in the forefront of pedophilia. No, it isn't. Simply because of the recent case, Operation Simone. We did this in early September. Police officers from Katowice and Silesia ran across the information or came across a clue. There was a software, piece of software allowing them to monitor peer-to-peer networks, where they found files with file extensions defining the age of the persons in the pictures, and 7,000 people, 7,000 users were in this P2P network. It was 175.
Dobrze, wiem, że jestem straszny dla tłumaczy symultanicznych.
In Poland, 175 persons were involved, while it was over 7,000 worldwide. So we provided the intelligence to practically all of the European states and other regions. We carried that out, and as a result, persons are charged. And another thing, a similar thing that took place on June 11th, when there was an international operation launched by the Brazilian police force, as a result of which 40 people were detained in Poland. Are all these pedophiles? The media or the tabloids say that we've arrested pedophiles. Journalists often ask me whether this is a pedophile ring, whether these are people actively involved. Well, no, they're not. I mean, perhaps some of them are active, if you will, pedophiles. But you'll also have people who download these files just out of an interest. I mean, out of perhaps professional interest or young people. For young people might find it a challenge to find stuff that's normally not available, but they get in trouble for that. We've arrested a lot of people. I'll give you an exact figure on how many people were arrested in the first part of this year. Many people were arrested, and as Dr. Dudek said, most of these people are released. They are not remanded in custody. And even the last apprehension with the 136 people, even then, when the suspects admitted, when the suspects confessed, there were a number of them who admitted that they were downloading such files and disseminating it on purpose, that they have such content on their drives. The prosecutor's office decided to take depositions from them as witnesses, pending a decision whether the files were actually there. We found this a little strange. We're talking to the prosecutor's office about this because we believe that such behavior should not be condoned in any way, and we don't want them to believe that they're being treated leniently. It takes a long time to examine the content of somebody's drive or computer, and the person is is generally scot-free in the meantime. Dr. Dudek also said previously that about the legal measures that a police has. I'll quote a couple of articles and the police figures that we can rely on. Everything that has to do, actually this relates to Article 200 of the Criminal Code, which talks about sexual intercourse with minors below the age of 15. This is an article that we quote.
So if you consider this type of criminal actions, you'll see that the number of crimes remains at the same level, while the number of victims is growing. So it means we reach a greater number of victims, or we have cases where we find a number of victims in a single case. And we say that one pedophile would cause harm to 1,000, 2,000 children. So what scale is it? Is it the global scale? We may say, oh no, in global scale it's not a lot, but you have kids living in the neighborhood, and you would never suspect any of these persons to be involved in this type of actions. They quite frequently have standard families, and I will give you later some examples. As you know, here 2007 is 1,077 crimes, 624 perpetrators, and the statistic is different for 2008. It's only first 6 months, while you have quite high numbers. Should we be happy, or is it a problem? I mean, the cooperation of police with NASK, DZUR.net and hotlines gives us more information and let us reach a greater number of offences. Is that number growing? I hope not. I hope the scale is constant. And what is good here is that we catch more and more criminals, and definitely this article has a certain statistical error, so we do not gather all the cases. And I would go back to the case from a week before, raping a young girl under 15, and he was arrested when she was 21, so it took him 6 years before he was arrested. Child pornography in police statistics, I have separated it between Article 202, which states that everyone who produces, keeps or distributes or publicly presents pornographic content with the participation of minors, or with using force or animals, is subject to imprisonment up to 8 years. This is one of the articles, and I'm here pointing out the distribution function. And this year was a real increase in this type of crime. If you compare year 2008 to 2005, 6 and 7, and when we met a year or a year and a half ago, we said, all right, it was, and now first half of this year it's over 400 cases. Two other articles, one of them of 2006, it's Article 202, paragraph 4a. This is the record of pornographic content with minors, as well as importing, keeping, or distribution of pornographic content with minors. 2006 is the year when we have find out the most of these crimes, and this number would definitely be still higher, because these articles cover also the current police operations. And because during the actions we not only arrest people, but we also take great numbers of hard disk computers, and all this is examined, and then we wait for the court decision, and the decision is influenced by the result of our investigation. So we may have situations that somebody has just downloaded a single image, and we immediately categorize him as a pedophile. And in order to download the following film, he or she has to download the first part. So we are not talking about accidental downloading of a film or an image. So if anybody would accidentally have contact with such material, so this is our role and the role of Hotline and DeJourNet. So there is a file, I found it, and nobody will take anybody to a court and call him to the police station because they found this type of content. But this type of information is particularly important for us. Now, a few examples. This is an operation called Natalia, and I have to use the server of the Warsaw headquarters. The Natalia operation, we find a guy on the basis of images on the net, and I'm showing some of the images, not the most drastic of these are the lighter materials, and you just see a 3-year-old girl sexually abused. You immediately think what you would do to such a criminal. So when you think of chemical castration, this would be definitely not enough for such a criminal. So this was a guy who for 2 years until 2008 was traveling around Poland. He was a teacher of English. When we arrested him, he was unemployed, but he was traveling around Poland, and he got friends with children from poor families or without any guardianship, and so he was playing with them, he was taking pictures, and he was abusing the faith of and confidence of these children. You see the children who are playing, and then you see in some sexual situations, they treated that as a very good fun. They received some money for sweets, and they got some little toys. For him, this was a source of satisfaction, and definitely this was a criminal case. And what I failed to say, here in Warsaw, he had an atelier where he invited young girls who he then photographed. He used the acquaintance of a single girl, asked her to bring over her friends, and we secured a number of hard disks with thousands of images. I don't think we've already managed to examine all the images because of great numbers. And of course, these images were present on the net. What the Polish police would do with such images, we try to inform Interpol. Interpol, they have a special software which enables the identification of location. And on the basis of some fragments, you are able to locate the photographer or the place where he took the pictures. And the Interpol themselves, they have a lot of images, and they don't know the source, and they don't know the photographers. So the first step in this type of crime is establishing the location and then one follow-up of the same topic. And this was the case of our next operation, which was originally called Green Leaves. This was the Interpol name, and then it was named after a girl who was a victim. And all right, I'll start with something else. On the net we found films, starting with this introduction, because this guy was modifying the existing film. And after this introduction, there were images. It's difficult to specify how she looked like. Why was it called Green Leaves? Because in a lot of pictures he used green leaves. So this was a guy who was abusing his family member, and we found this accidentally. The beginning was in Canada. They found the films, then the images, porno images with minors, then the porno films. The Canadians didn't know the source. They sent that to Interpol, and they also received pictures from Sweden, and by accident it all arrived in Poland, and a Polish officer who was visiting Interpol on one piece of the image he found Polish. Well, I have some technical problem. He found some Polish words, although the author wanted to delete everything that could help to locate the scene. Polish word, this means it should go to us, to the Polish police. We looked into the pictures we received from Sweden. On one page, on one image, we found a part of the Polish television logo, and I remember we were traveling, and I discussed with my friends from different towns and asking them whether this is a scene of their towns. I did not expect that this was taken in Warsaw, but he also took pictures of other children. So he stopped his car and just took pictures of children passing by. And so we managed to find out that he operates here in Warsaw. And what is interesting particularly for us was the fact that, no, it's not this one. Sorry. It's not my computer, maybe that's why I'm not managing it properly. Just a second, please. All right. What we found interesting here was that the girl in pictures was growing with the subsequent films. So she was abused for she's been abused for many years. And finally, we found these pictures. Here you have policemen, and one of them was trying to find the location, and this guy was sometimes talking to his victim, and there was this Jordan garden, and I remember we were going around Mokotów, the district in Warsaw, and our friends from the Metropolitan Police, they went to every single place in Warsaw, and they found this place in Żoliborz, another district in Warsaw. And finally we arrested the guy, 29-year-old, 2 children, married, and nobody would ever think that he has any contacts with pedophilia, with sexual abuse of children. And I think very recently he got sentenced for 12 years, and I hope he will stay in prison for the 12 years, but knowing the practice, he may be released earlier. So a lot is discussed about that. Can we do more? Yes, definitely we can do much more. And for quite a long time we've been appealing, lobbying, and this was already mentioned by Dr. Dudek. The police provocation, and this was very difficult legally, because we had to pretend being a 15-year-old child, so this was a mission for our police women, but it was very difficult for them to pretend to be a 15-year-old girl, so we did not make any single action of this type. So it's easier in case of men. Men can more easily pretend to being in their teens. And we have been discussing this at the first meeting with Minister Radziszewska, the Minister for the Interior Affairs. So we asked for a permission to create such internet fora. And we have experienced from our journalists that when they enter a chat room, when they introduce themselves as minors, immediately they have 60 or 80 persons immediately try to contact them and offering something related to sex. And we would like to use this type of opportunity, and I think that with this determination of the government, of the police, of different agencies, I think we will be finally equipped with the right of provocation. What we do is not just combating crime, but it's also prevention. And even today I've been in one of the schools, and I talked to a lady who asked us to talk to her teachers and students. So we heard before that we have to increase the awareness of our parents and teachers, and they try to implement different security systems, but unfortunately children are much more mature in the know-how of IT. But we do a lot. We organize meetings with kids and trainings, and I'm very happy when I hear about any initiative related to combating this type of crime, and each type of this initiative is of great value. Thank you very much, and if you have questions, then I will try to answer or ask my friends to help me. Thank you very much. Are there any questions to our speakers? We have microphones. If there is a question, just raise your hand and microphone will be delivered immediately. I know you are tired. I know this was a very long morning, but maybe, if not, we shall soon go to lunch. Just few organizational information. You have questionnaires among your materials. Please do not forget to fill the questionnaires and leave it with our receptionists. Now, lunch will be served downstairs in the restaurant of Kierat and Campanile Hotel, so whichever restaurant you prefer, you may go. And after lunch, we meet at 3 sessions. One will be closed. They are for law enforcement agencies. Another one is directed to educators, teachers, and the third one is on Web 2.0. And the final information, since we are meeting for the last time in this agreement, then only we have these workshops. So at 6 o'clock in Campanile restaurant there will be a banquet. So bon appetit, and we'll meeting back in 1 hour time. Thank you very much.